Let's give an example from the second ray here. Since the value given to a tree is for its fruit, the owner of that tree will certainly not let others take the fruit and ruin the purpose. In other words, the value given to a tree is for its fruit. The fruit of the tree of the universe is the human being. The universe exists for the sake of humanity. And the fruit of the human being is his faith in God and his worship of him. It is to know God and to love him. Therefore, not informing a person of such a purpose would be completely contrary to the fundamental wisdom of the universe.
One of the greatest proofs that humans are not left to their own devices is the existence of memory in humans. What did we eat in the morning? Everything is recorded. This is the greatest proof that even the smallest deeds of a person are given great importance.
Of course, as we mentioned, there are many aspects and many points to this topic in the Risale-i-Nur. I would also like to make a reference from Isharatul Ijaz. Our viewers should definitely read the section on worship in Isharatul Ijaz. There is a discussion there that says, man, distinguished and exceptional among all animals, has been created with a wondrous and subtle nature. Because of this nature, various inclinations and desires have arisen in humans. For example, a person wants the most select, the most beautiful, the most chosen things. He is inclined toward the most beautiful things and desires things that are adorned. He wants to live with dignity and honor befitting humanity. In order to fulfill these inclinations, he needs many crafts to properly provide for his needs, such as food and clothing. Here, since man is in need of many different crafts and is not skilled in all of them, he must cooperate with his fellow human beings. However, since the faculties within man, what we call the appetitive faculty, the faculty of anger and the faculty of reason, namely desire, anger, and intellect, which are given to sustain human life, are not inherently limited, and because these faculties are left unchecked to allow for spiritual progress through man's partial free will, acts of injustice and transgression occur in human interactions. And in order to prevent these injustices and to establish order and harmony, justice is needed. However, since the intellect of each individual is incapable of comprehending this justice in its entirety, there is a need for a universal intellect from which individuals can benefit. Such a universal intellect can only exist in the form of law, and such a law can only be the Sharia. They are the laws of Allah, the commands of Allah, in other words, religion. Therefore, for the Almighty not to respond to this great need of humanity or to remain indifferent would be to attribute a great deficiency to His infinitely perfect attributes. And it is the prophets who will implement such a Sharia, such laws. In other words, it is the prophets who will carry out the application of that chain of laws among people. Therefore, believing in both the prophets and the holy books is among the pillars of faith, and in order for the person who is a prophet to maintain his authority over the people both outwardly and inwardly, he needs both a material and spiritual nobility and distinction. This distinction and the degree of relationship and connection with the Creator, that is with Allah, requires evidence to be demonstrated. These evidences are miracles.